Well, I'm really excited for another Real Talk with the Real Housewife. And so I want to welcome to the program the creator and host of the show, Mary Amons. Mary, how are you?
I'm doing great, Neil. It's a great August day here in D.C. I just came home from a week-long business trip to Dallas, and I barely wore any clothes because it was 110 degrees.
Oh, wow.
Not to mention I forgot my suitcase, so I was borrowing clothes from my hostess, but I made it. Anyway, I'm so excited about today's guest. First of all, I love meeting dynamic, fun girls, and Dallas is chock full of them. And I'd say that the most exciting thing for me, having this opportunity to go on reality television, is to meet other fellow reality television stars and to get to know them on a personal level. And so I am so excited to introduce you to the one and only Courtney Kerr. She is. Hello. Hi, Courtney. Welcome to the show. So excited to have you on. And,
I love that you introduced me as a girl. I'm like not a girl, not yet a woman. That makes me feel very grown up, not grown up, and I am.
Well, I call my mom a girl too, so don't.
Oh, okay. Then I won't read into it.
You're not a lady. You're not a woman. You're a girl. You're a fun-loving girl, just like me. I consider myself a girl too. But anyway, I want to introduce you. For our listeners who don't know, you were the breakout star of Bravo's Most Eligible Dallas, and you are the creator of your fashion blog, which has become very hugely popular, called What Courtney Wore. And now you have your own spin-off show. Andy must have really loved you.
I guess. I think the term breakout star is actually really funny because it's it makes it sound like I have bad acne or something, that I have bad skin. That I have to see a dermatologist regularly. That I should endorse Clarisonic or something.
Not a bad idea. A good one to endorse. Yeah.
Since Neutrogena.
So tell us how was your experience? First of all, tell us how you had the opportunity to get picked up for this role on Most Eligible Dallas.
Well, yeah, Most Eligible Dallas, we filmed actually in the beginning of 2011. So it's been, I guess, 2.5 years since we filmed. And Bravo's the casting team from the production company had called me. And I guess they had come through Dallas several times and scouted Dallas. And Bravo had decided that they wanted to do something about Texas because I think there's always been a lot of just really interesting stories or stigmas. And Mary, you've been to Dallas now, so you understand what Dallas is like. But I think for people that have never been here, they have these perceptions of what Dallas is like in their head. Do we have oil rigs in our backyard? Do we ride horses to work? Do we milk cows in the morning? Everyone always is like, wow, Dallas is so chic. And I'm like, well, of course it is. From a city, it's a city that birthed not only Neiman Marcus, but the Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders. Of course we're going to be, a very, chic and posh city. But so I think Bravo had a real interest in the dynamic of the city of Dallas. And not just the dynamic of Dallas, but kind of the single world. And they had never really tackled at that point. They had done the Housewives in several markets, but most of the shows were centered around, pre-existing celebrities or housewives, or cooking shows or interior. So a show about single people, I think, was really interesting. And so Bravo sent out a production company, and they called me, and I guess they'd come out and scout, and people had said, you need to meet Courtney Kerr, And I had just gone through a horrible breakup. Ironically, the guy had broken up with me during the countdown of New Year's Eve. And so when the casting company called me, I was like, I'm not really sure, going on reality TV is the best way to, mend a broken heart. That might actually be the worst idea. So, of course, I was like, I'm not doing it. I told my mother, and she's like, no, Courtney, that is not a good idea. You just need to mend your heart and, find the Lord. And, so she just did not think it was a good idea. And so after much dismay, probably about 6 weeks of being like, I'm not interested, the production company flew to Dallas and showed up at my 29th birthday party. Oh, and they, literally bombarded me while I was doing, a conga line through the bar. And they're like, hey, we're the production company. And I'm like, kind of a little tipsy on. I think I'm carrying a champagne bottle at this point, like making people like drink champagne as they go through the Congo line, and they're like, just meet us for brunch tomorrow. And so, 8 hours later, in kind of a hungover state of mind, I might have still been drunk. I went to a casting in person with the casting producers, and I signed on the dotted line about 2 weeks later. So for me, it wasn't about being famous. It wasn't about getting 15 minutes of fame. It wasn't about being on TV. The way that they pitched it to me was, we have 6 people that are friends, and this dynamic isn't going to be complete without you in this group. And if there's anything you've ever wanted to do, like, you will have a national audience to reach. And that for me was the biggest thing, because I was working in retail. I'd been in retail at that time for 10 years, and I loved fashion and eat and breathe fashion, and it's what I wake up for. And so to me, it was like, if there was ever a way to get out of retail or leave what I'm doing or get into styling, or I didn't know what I wanted to do. But I thought this would be an opportunity for people to see me as a personality and as someone who loves fashion. So, and we started filming 8 weeks later. So I didn't really have a lot of time to think, oh my God, what the hell have I gotten myself into?
Well, Courtney, have you had any, I'm sorry, Mary, I just wanted to jump in because I know you guys will be chatting back and forth throughout the show. But the question I want to ask, did you have any on-camera experience before this venture?
I didn't, no. What's funny, I have a lot of friends that have moved, moved to LA and kind of followed their dreams to be actors, and they always would kind of laugh at me like, oh my God, you belong on television. I think just because I have this big personality, but acting was never something that appealed to me in theater. I did theater in high school, but so people, I think, put reality TV and wanting to be on TV is kind of the same thing, but for me it was just the on-camera thing, it didn't scare me because I was just being myself, So as far as I was concerned, it was just another day, just a TV was around. So, whereas it's different from hosting, which is you have to play it to the camera and open, worry about your angles. On reality TV, I mean, they're not worried about getting your bad angle because I've seen all of mine. I'm sure you can speak to that. After 8 weeks of yourself, you're like, okay, they say you shouldn't wear horizontal stripes for a reason.
And they want you in jewel tones for a reason.
Yes, jewel tones. I'm like, I don't, because you will look like a member of the Addams family.
I had to spend a lot of money on finding some wardrobe that would have jewel tones, because practically my whole closet is just on it grays, blacks. Right, grays, blacks, and whites, a little pop of color here and there, but
no, I completely. It was very. That gave me more anxiety, I think, than actually what was going to come out of my mouth. Was what am I going to put on my body?
Yeah, it is a challenge to and you have to mix it up and make sure that you're staying trendy and you're and it's also kind of a game though if you think about it with editing, because they love to trick you with certain things that didn't really match one conversation. And if you're mixing up your wardrobe, they can't do that.
No, the editors hate me. I'm an editor's probably worst nightmare, I can imagine. Because it's horrible because I love to wear things until I know all of my groups of friends have seen that one outfit. So this week, for example, I'm really into this one dress with this vest over it with these open-toed booties, and I've seen 3 different sets of friends, and I will see my last set of friends tonight, and then I will retire that outfit. So I can wear it 4 days in a row or 4 events in a row, and then retire. But I couldn't do that when we were filming. It was I have to think of another new outfit, which is fun for me, but. I know, Neil, I'm sure you're sitting there oh my God, female problems. Really.
What do you think is your best moment on that first season of Most Eligible Dallas, and what is your worst moment?
Oh my gosh,
can you think of any?
Yeah, I can. My best moment, I didn't realize I had so many one-liners. I think just because my friends don't laugh at them anymore because they're so used to hearing them. And my mom is pretty much tone deaf to the sound of my voice now. So none of my friends really laugh at my jokes anymore. So I think I made this one-liner. We went to a pool party on Most Eligible, and I was sitting in a corner judging for most of the pool party because all of these girls were dressed in, like, thong bikinis with, like, stripper high heels and then, like, full makeup and, like, spray tans. And I went on a tangent about girls that wear high heels with bikinis. And I was like, you are not a stripper. You are not, like, on a pole. There is no reason you should be wearing. And I said this line, and I said, I wore a cover-up over my beautiful swimsuit. Therefore, I was allowed a wedge. A cover-up bought me a wedge, not a high heel. And so people still to this day will tweet me, like, during bikini season, like, oh, my God, I love your quote. A cover-up bought me a wedge. Like,
I love it.
Girls go to, like, Vegas, they'll always, like, tweet pictures and send them to me and be like, I feel like I need to show these girls your rant about bikinis, that you can't wear them with high heels. So I didn't even really think that was that funny when I said it. I thought I was just being honest. And I guess in post and in editing, everyone thought it was just absolutely hysterical. So that, I say, would probably be my greatest moment, just because people still will stop me and say that line to me again. Probably my worst moment, though, was in episode 1. We're kicking everybody off on a great foot. Yeah, nothing like a good first impression, right? Was a new friend was introduced to the group, and she is a single mother, and she was very young, and she was 22 and had a 2-year-old son, and was hanging out with a guy in our group of friends who was notorious for being a playboy. And so I just it looks as if I basically verbally attack her for 3 hours, but I basically just asked questions like, well, where's the dad? Like, well, do you go out a lot? Like, because I'm about to be 32, and so for me, like, having children is something that I've held off on because I want to make sure I'm in a great frame of mind, and I probably won't be going out partying until 3 a.m. I know I will have those moments that I will, but so I came off very judgy, and that's unfortunate. But at the same time, I do think that I have friends that are single mothers. I have friends that are moms, and they have the occasional night till 2 or 3 a.m., but they're not consistently going out. And so I think for me, I was just like, oh, well, I was just caught off guard that she was so willing to be out with that type of crowd till wee hours of the morning consistently. And so it caught me off guard, and unfortunately it caught me off guard on film, and I got a lot of flack for that.
So, Courtney,
yeah, to ask you, your fans give you a lot of garbage for that.
They didn't. My fans didn't, because I think I got a lot of, being from the South, I got a lot of people that said, wow, thank you for standing up for family values. Thank you for standing up for single moms. It is a hard job. Yes, we do need a night out every now and then, but, there were a lot of single moms that sent me letters and said, thank you for speaking up for women, and that, like, some moms do give motherhood a bad name, and they shouldn't be going out to, nightclubs and raves until 3 o'clock in the morning 4 nights a week, and Friday, Saturday, Sunday, So, but there were a lot of people that, of course, are very like, I'm a mom, you can't judge until you have a baby, until you're a single mom. I'm like, okay. So, I'm not saying that she needs to walk around with, like, a scarlet A on her chest. I'm just saying that, like, maybe going out with a guy who's notorious for being a player isn't the best place to find a new father for your son. Like, that's all I'm saying.
Now, Courtney, I guess from this, again, not being in the entertainment business, after the show airs and the tweets come and the bloggers come and all these different things, was it difficult to shut it all off, to make sure that I got to stay away from this, especially when the two things that made you really well known on this show, one was good and one was not so good, especially on camera, how you responded to it, especially when Mary and I have talked about this all the time, the amount of abuse a lot of the Bravo stars get from Twitter, from the blogosphere, and just from people who just really, truly don't know that person. Was that hard for you, Courtney?
I think it's all a matter of how you respond to it, and I think it's a matter of your attitude. I think there's a lot of people in the reality TV world, myself included at portions of my life, where we kind of put on this, like, woe is me, like, oh, my God, I have to deal with all of these haters, and, like, you just can't please everybody, and, like, I have social anxiety, and, I get recognized all the time, and it's just really hard. I can't go anywhere. I mean, everybody, I think, has that attitude at some point when they're in the middle of their 15 minutes of fame, or if they're lucky enough to have a longer career. But I think just having a good attitude about it is the best way to handle it. I mean, I am the queen of, like, calling people out. like, for example, last night I got a tweet from somebody who said, because I host a morning talk show here in Dallas, and someone said, I would rather eat dry cereal out of a coffee mug than watch Courtney Kerr. And so I wrote back and I said, I prefer oatmeal out of a champagne flute. And, like, so I just kind of like to be funny with people, and I don't take it too seriously. I think when it comes to the blogosphere of being a blogger myself, and Twitter, I think it takes, anyone can sit behind a computer and bash somebody that they don't know, but I think a lot of people would have a change of heart, when they finally meet that person in person. I just think a lot of people just are really brave behind their computer. And so I would encourage those people to put themselves on TV and see how they handle it. So it's an interesting it's an interesting space to sit in. But you can't take it too seriously, and you have to enjoy the great moments, and you have to kind of let the bad moments pass and just realize that sometimes it's just part of the job. There's perks, and there's some pieces of it that aren't so great.
Yeah. So, yeah, Courtney, I totally can understand. I mean, there are a lot of people that do sit behind their computers and have, maybe some unhappiness in their lives, and they find great sport or comfort or something in bashing people that have, taken the risk to put themselves out there. And, I would say that I have met a lot of people that have entered this reality show space, and I've been pleasantly surprised when I get to know them personally, and how much they have to offer and how little we see of them, their true character or their true person and what they are all about on reality television. It's very hard for cameras to capture everything, and so it's been really fun for me to get to know a lot of these people behind the scenes, to see that they really do have a lot to offer, and that it's really, and most everyone that I know that I've become friendly with have done this for all the right purpose and the right intention to, create good, promote charity, make a difference in the world, influence people in a positive way, and it really has nothing to do with being famous.
Yeah, and I tell people that all the time. I'm like, I filmed for 5 months. Take 5 months of your life, take the 3 best moments or the 3 worst moments, like the 3 lowest moments of that point, take the 5 highest moments, and put those into 8 episodes. And that's what you're left with. And so every week, you're not going to get the best of a person every single week in a reality show. Everyone has highs and lows. Just some of us are more, willing to share them with the world than others.
That's right. Well, and also that's just what makes it interesting too. I mean, if it was all good, it wouldn't be that fun. If it was all bad, it wouldn't be that fun.
I think what people don't take into consideration is it's a great opportunity, I think, for the viewer to relate to characters, especially I think Bravo does such a good job of that, is really having characters that people can relate to, whether they're going through divorce or they're going through family drama or they're going through, friendships or, losing a business partner or whatever the case may be, or being single and 30. I think they really do a good job of making the viewers feel like, oh, wow, this person is like me, or, oh, I've been through that too. And that's what people like to see. People don't like to see everything through rose-colored glasses. They like to see that other people's worlds aren't as perfect. And it makes people at home feel better about
I agree. And sometimes
about myself.
Right. So Courtney and Mary, sometimes it's hard for you guys to see that until you're after your show's over, and to watch other shows and watch episodes to see people and what they're going through, and see that, there are good stories even though there's a lot of drama. Now, the question I have for Courtney is, going through that show and then being picked up for another show, tell us a little bit about that. When is that looking to premiere?
Well, so we finished the first show, Most Eligible Dallas. We finished that in October of 2012, and we waited 6 months to hear if we would get picked up, and no one heard anything, and there were a lot of questions, and I got a phone call one lonely Wednesday afternoon in April of, I guess, 13? No, we're in 2012. And they called, and the ex-president of Bravo and the president of the production company called and said, we called in one to let you know personally that we're not going to renew most eligible ballots. And I literally almost started crying because I was like, well, that's sad, but, you know, I was still working my retail job. Like, my 6 months of life hadn't changed except for the fact that people recognized me and I'd started the blog. But they said, but wait, we actually want to give you your own show. And after I, like, slammed on my brakes on the middle of the freeway and pulled off into a Wendy's parking lot, I literally asked them, I was like, well, what are we going to talk about? Like, because I really didn't understand what was so fascinating about my life and what was so different. And they said, we just think that the viewers really relate to you and that women really relate to you being 30 and single and, you know, wanting to have kids and that your friends have kids and that you come from a single-parent family. It was just an interesting dynamic, and for me, and that's the way that I think women responded to me, whether the women were 18 or they were 40. And so I was really honored and excited that I had to keep the secret for 5 months, which was like the biggest secret I've ever kept in my entire life. And then we started filming, and we filmed all last year, not all last year, the end of 2012, from September through, I guess, almost February of 2013, we filmed Courtney Loves Dallas. And it follows me being, you know, 30 and single, exploring dating. I quit my retail job and start blogging full-time. My mom goes through a cancer battle, dealing with my friendships who, they're all married with kids, and kind of that dynamic and, you know, kind of losing all your sidekicks, you know, to men and babies and diaper duty. So it's an interesting story that I think a lot of women, once again, will be able to relate to and go, okay, this girl lives in Dallas and she drives a Volvo and she's 31 and she's still single, then it is okay for me to be single too. And so I think women, like I said, Bravo does a great job of telling stories that people can relate to. And I think women who watch Bravo are going to go, okay, great, she's not a housewife, she's not a pre-established celebrity, she's a normal girl. And I'm really looking forward to the response.
So has the show aired? Has it aired?
It hasn't aired. It airs. They haven't even started running promos yet. We will air an extensive.
Sorry, Courtney. I was going to say I could have answered that question, Mary. I watch more reality TV than you do.
I know. I don't watch TV, Courtney.
I don't even own a TV. So it's an interesting dynamic.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, when people tell me like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," I mean, that sounds like fun what you did, but I missed it. Sorry, I missed it. Like they're apologizing to me. I'm like, don't apologize. I don't know. I know. Ever.
You guys aren't enthused about Amish Mafia coming?
Yeah.
Good.
Say that again.
I was saying you guys aren't enthused about the debut of the new season of Amish Mafia tonight?
No, I don't even know what that means. I literally have to go on like Netflix or Amazon to watch that. And I am addicted to the Housewives. Like, I'm fascinated by the Housewives. And so I watch all of the Housewives on Amazon.com. And when y'all called, I was literally just in the middle of watching last night's OC reunion. And it's very intense. Well, I like watching Andy Cohen call people out. It's like my favorite thing ever.
No,
I know.
Courtney, you have to watch.
I had my own experience of that.
Sorry, Mary. We're really going into like a dialogue, but that's perfect for real talk. Now, Courtney, you've never watched Amish Mafia. You have to watch one on Netflix because it's such a kick, and I got to get Mary to watch it too. I think it's one of the.
I don't really know if I'm in. Am I really interested? I don't know if I'm really interested in the Amish community, but I do love Orange is the New Black.
Okay, so Courtney, I understand also you have some charity work.
Neil.
No, that's okay. That's no, but you
I'll watch Amish community.
The Amish Mafia. One of the stars is following me. She says, and Mary thinks it's a bogus one, and I think it's a bogus one, and I'm calling her out because she won't come on my show. But she says, "Oh, but Discovery won't let us, or whatever. No, A&E, or what? You think it's A&E? Will not allow us to."
Amish women are the ones that have the really, really, really long hair. Yeah. Am I correct?
But Courtney, you'll get a kick.
Okay.
This is a mafia. The guy doesn't live any of the Amish, and he protects the community. And there's a war between the Ohio Amish and the Pennsylvania Amish. It's a really interesting show.
See, I might really be fascinated by this because recently I was in upstate New York, and we drove through this Hasidic Jew community, like on the way to this cabin in upstate, and I was fascinated. Like there were literally thralls of them just wandering the streets, and I literally went home and Googled and did so much research on it. So I actually might be interested in it. I'll watch one episode just for
Well,
you.
let me just tell you. Let me jump in here and tell you that I have had much experience with the Amish community because my parents have a farm in Southern Maryland, and there's a big, huge Amish community there. And first of all, they don't allow you to take photographs because they think it's evil. So there's
But
like
the fact that they would allow a reality
tell.
crew in,
I know.
interesting.
That's what I really can't understand is how. If they're really Amish, they're really breaking rules.
Maybe it's just that maybe they're actually playing a big joke on all of us.
No, there's two shows. There's Breaking Amish too. Come on, guys, get the get going on the reality spin. But I understand, Courtney. I'm sorry.
I spend so many hours a day on TV. Like I don't have time to watch.
Mary asked me how I have
like,
time. Okay, so Courtney,
Yeah.
specifically, I understand you're involved in some charitable organizations. Tell us a bit about them, and I know Mary will jump in after that.
Yeah. So recently I actually adopted a doggie. I have not, like I mentioned, I'm single with no kids. And so my mom's been asking me probably for almost 6 years, since I was like 25, when I was going to give her a grandchild. So I decided to just lay that conversation to rest and adopt a dog. So recently I rescued a doggie from the Dallas Humane Society of Dallas, and she's actually a miniature bulldog that was in a dog fight with dog race. It was in like kind of a dog race. So
Wow.
I adopted her and have fallen in love with her, and I've had her a while now, and she sleeps in bed with me every night. And so now I guess I never really experienced that love between like a human being and an animal. Like I understood it because like I grew up with pets, but I had never had a dog that was just that dog that you live by yourself with and that sleeps in your bed. And I never quite understood that love that people could have for an animal that couldn't even speak until I got Fancy, is her name. And so now I'm actually beginning to work with the Dallas Humane Society and just continue to raise awareness for rescuing dogs versus, going through a breeder, because there's so many dogs out there that come from a horrible environment, and that rescuing them, they are so eager to be loved. And I can't tell you how many times when I'm walking Fancy, people will go, their first question isn't like, what's her name? Is it a boy or girl? They'll go, is she a rescue dog? And I say yes, and just rescue dogs give so much love, and I think just because they're so grateful to have a forever home, that it's just, she has changed my life and definitely changed my mother's life, because now she's kind of calmed down on the grandkid talk. So that's
You bought some time there. Now, what did you
I did. I bought some major time.
Tell me the nature of why you named her.
When I adopted her, her name was Adele, and I wasn't really on board with that. So I actually, this is the power of social media. I tweeted out one day, I said, I'm getting a girl dog. She's a bulldog. Here's a picture of her. Give me suggestions. And no one actually suggested Fancy. I was actually in the car driving, going through the tweets, and I was sitting at a stoplight going through the tweets, and the song, Reba McEntire's song.
I was going to ask you if it was after Fancy.
I was like, oh my God, that's actually such a good name. And so I immediately texted my mom in all caps, which means I'm serious about something. And I said, Fancy, ? And she's like, yes, yes, yes. And from that point, her name was Fancy. So for the first 3 weeks I had her, she had no clue what her name was. I could have yelled Bob, and she would have run into the room.
Oh,
now
my.
she knows her name, and she is Fancy.
Okay.
She's very fancy.
All right.
She's a little pill.
Well, fantastic, Courtney. Where can we find information on you, learn more about you, so our listeners can follow Twitter about you, which I'm sure all of them are already following you on Twitter, but also some of the other ventures that you're doing, reading your blog and all that?
Yeah. Everything that you need to know about me, you can find under The Courtney Kerr. Under Twitter, I'm The Courtney Kerr. Instagram, The Courtney Kerr. My website, which is also the home of my blog and any projects that I'm working on, is also The Courtney Kerr. So The Courtney Kerr across the board. My dog has an Instagram too, and she's The Fancy Kerr.
Oh my God. Oh my.
I love it.
The adventures of the fanciest bulldog in Dallas. So yeah.
Oh my. So Mary,
I can't wait to meet Fancy. I'm heading back to Dallas. I was telling.
Oh my gosh,
earlier.
Mary! When you come in town, we'll go sit on a patio and we'll take Fancy, and you'll see that she really is. She's very fancy.
Oh well, I can't wait. I cannot wait.
So-
we can tweet pictures of it.
and Mary, where can we find information on you? The different places.
Well, I do not have V in front of my name. My website is maryamons.com, and I've just launched my interior design business, which has been very fun and exciting. And I have some other business opportunities that are coming up in Dallas that I'll be able to talk about soon as they materialize. And you can follow me on Twitter, Mary Amons, at Mary Amons, and on my Facebook fan page. And Labels for Love. My charity is Labels for Love, so you can find out more about how to support my charitable endeavors on labelsforlove.org.
Well, thanks again, Mary. Always a fun time, and Courtney as well. So, Mary, go ahead and sign us off for this show. And, Courtney, you were really a kick, as Mary said, and I can't wait to start watching your show when it comes on. I have too many shows. I'm going to have to get the go to a digital TV now so I can start watching all of it on Netflix.
Yes. Well, as soon as it gets announced, I'll let you know so you can set your DVR for Courtney Loves Dallas.
All right. Okay, and go ahead, Mary, and sign us off.
Anyway, thank you all for listening to Real Talk with the Real Housewife, and tune in next week where we'll have another great guest, a surprise guest, a good friend of mine. So thank you, Neil, for having me, and thank you, Courtney, for joining in and making us laugh.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, fantastic, and we'll be back in just a moment.